3rd, 2021 to order. And before I continue, I'd like to share some information, Madam Clerk. Go ahead. Okay. I'd like to, this is instructions for live public comments after the opening ceremonies. This meeting is being held in accordance with Assembly Bill 361, allowing members of the City Council and members of the public and staff to participate via the teleconference. The instructions for how the public may participate in this meeting are provided on the meeting agenda as well as on the city website, oxnard.org/city meeting /. Members of the public who did not request to speak prior to the 3 p.m. cutoff may do so during the meeting by dialing 888-475-4499 and entering the meeting ID and passcode found on the meeting agenda, and you'll be placed in the Zoom waiting room. While in the Zoom waiting room, once I have called for the public speakers for the agenda item in which you wish to speak, you press *9 to raise your hand and to inform the clerk that you'd like to speak during the agenda item. The clerk will unmute you, and then when it's time to speak, she'll tell you to *6 to unmute your phone. Speakers shall have up to 3 minutes per agenda. After all the public speakers have signed up for a particular item and have been given an opportunity to speak, the public comment period for that item shall be held open for 3 minutes to allow additional speakers to register or otherwise be recognized for the purpose of providing public comment. During the 3-minute time period, the City Council or staff may discuss the item being considered. In the event of a disruption which prevents the council from broadcasting the meeting using a call-in option or internet-based service option, or in the event of a disruption within the city control, which prevents members of the public from offering public comments using the call-in option or internet-based service option, the council shall take no further action on the item appearing on the meeting agenda until the public access to the meeting via the call-in option or internet-based service option is restored. However, in any of the broadcast options, any other options are disrupted, but any of the other broadcast options is still available to the public, the council may take further action on the item appearing on the meeting agenda without waiting for the disrupted broadcast option to be restored. And I'm going to again repeat that number. The number to call is 888-475-4499, and you enter the ID. It's 854-7858-0068, and the passcode is 915313. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, and roll call and posting the agenda and the salute to our flag.
Member Basua.
Here.
Chair Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted at the outside kiosk located outside council chambers on Tuesday, November 16th. Thank you.
Please help me salute our flag. Thank you. One nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice. Let's have a moment of silence for the poor folks that died over in the parade back east. Thank you. Okay, our next item, Madam Clerk, is we don't have any public comments on this item.
No public comments, Mayor. Thank you.
So we, Mr. City Attorney, do we have the 3-minute rules if anybody else calls in?
Yes, we do need to follow the 3-minute rule.
We'll start the 3 minutes at this time.
Okay, and for those watching at home, let me repeat the dial-in number. That's 888-475-4499. Once that answers, you would put in the meeting ID code, which is 854-7158-0068. And then you put in the passcode, which is 915313.
Thank you. And of course, I'm sure that everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving. And I know that at my house there's quite a few turkeys, and we had the opportunity to give out a lot of turkeys over this week, to quite a few hundreds of people, and actually thousands of people. And I want to thank the city of Oxnard, our recreation department, our police department, our staff, our city manager's office, and food share, and the port, and quite a few other agencies. That in fact, this afternoon we also had in La Quetch give dinners out there at Casa Lopez, and it's just been great, passing out the turkeys. And also Councilwoman Basu and I had the opportunity to meet with over 120 youngsters and parents to clean up College Park this weekend. It just been a fascinating week, a very productive week, So Councilman Basu, I want to thank you for being there today and for your help.
Thank you, Mayor, for those kind words. Yes, we were out there this past Saturday. Lots of volunteers, and City Corps was out there too, and the City of Oxnard did a wonderful job putting it on. So many thanks to them. Our parks are looking wonderful. They're looking greener. I know we're in a drought, so that's probably going to affect it a bit. But overall, you drive around the city and it looks beautiful.
That's right. Thank you. And of course, you also had, for information, we had a Safe Ride program between, again, the Oxnard PD, and also Mr. Hernandez, from 5 Points. So that was great. Lots of kids out there, riding their bikes, Safe Ride, here working with the Oxnard PD and our youth. Was really a great program too. And again, the city manager's office was there, and other agencies of the city and county too, for information. Okay, our time is up. Our next item is item C1, consent item, and this is approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes for the Finance and Governance Committee, and approve the minutes for November 9th, 2021 regular meeting. I don't have any concerns. Councilwoman Basua.
I do not also, and I will make I will ask that we approve the minutes as they are.
Okay, and I'm going to have a second on that. Roll call.
Chair Zaragoza,
Yes.
Member Basua.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Okay, our next item is reports D1. This is Finance Department. And the proposal is a city council policy for the internal control integrated framework and monitoring activities. And the recommendation is the Finance and Governance Committee provide feedback on a proposed city policy for the internal control integrated framework monitoring activities, and recommend that the city council adopt a resolution to approve the proposed policy. And again, this was also it was also a video, a pre-recorded presentation required under Measure M. And Councilman Basua, do you have any concerns or anything you'd like to share on this item?
No concerns at all, but I would like to thank staff. I believe this is the final, right, of these policies. So congratulations to the finance staff for all their hard work. And I do not have any questions.
Thank you. I also want to thank, staff for, it's a final recommendation in the last policy item. And I think one of the important things that under the resolution that we're looking for that we would like to recommend to the city council is that this recommendation for adopting the monitoring system for internal control policies has to do with one of the things that I'd like to mention here, that the recommendation is the policy for creation of monitoring system for internal control that reaffirms that the city council's commitment to hold management accountable for adhering for any internal control integrated framework ICIF principles. And also that, of course, and that we also recommend that the delegation of responsibility include an assignment to the Finance and Governance Committee to work with the internal auditors to develop and implement internal controls and safeguards and assets to ensure that the city achieves its operational objectives. That's a lot of wording, but I know we've done a lot of work over the last year, and again, I too would like to commend staff, and the auditors for the good work they've done, and I think we've done some excellent work for the city, and I think this will really help us to be more transparent, and I'm not sure if Betsy George has any additional words that she might want to share with us or on this item.
Just to echo what both committee members and the chair have already said, that a lot of work by staff and that we've worked closely with the auditors, and Jennifer Hiraoka is here, who's our senior manager of internal controls, and she will be integral over the next 12 months in making sure that these policies are implemented and followed, and that the monitoring system is in place. And a lot of great work happened before Jennifer and I joined as well. So definitely want to
And I wanted to thank Jennifer too for excellent work on Jennifer on this item too. I looked it over, and there's those policies, internal policies, and integrated framework is really going to help us, here in the city of Oxnard. So Jennifer, thank you so much.
Thank you. As Betsy says, we did inherit a lot of this, and we look forward to implementing it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Councilman Brasua, any other questions on this item?
No, Mayor, and I will move the recommended action.
Thank you again. In the recommended action, I'm going to second that as the Finance and Governance Committee provide feedback on the proposed city council, which we did, council policy for the internal control integrated framework monitoring activities, and to recommend the city council adopt a resolution to approve the proposed policy. And I'll second that item.
Mr. Mayor, we do need to have the 3-minute period as well before there's a vote. If we can go
Okay.
ahead and start the 3-minute clock.
And we'll take the 3-minute before we vote on this item. So I think, staff members, and I think this is going to be a good, transparent item, that's really going to help not just ourselves as council members, but the public and also our employees. And that way I can understand that the public would have a lot more confidence in the work we do here with the city. So that's extremely important to all of us. And again, I'd like to commend, our city manager and all the way down to the department heads and supervisors and all the way down to the employees, which is really, really significant, and I think it's an excellent policies that we put together, a whole year's worth. Yeah. So the question is, my staff was asking, are you going to get a D or a C in this item? Or great. So what do you think, Mr. City Manager?
How about I resort to music again?
Okay, real good. Sounds good. Hmm. Thank you. I know that. How come you're so happy that, Madam Clerk? Any additional, any speakers? No speakers. Okay, so we have a first and a second. A first by Councilman Basu and a second by Mayor John Zaragoza. Roll call.
Chair Zaragoza,
Yes.
Member Basua.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you so much. And again, Betsy and Jennifer, thank you for excellent work. Our next item is, again, this is City Manager's Department. And this is a First Amendment to Vasquez and Company LLP on-call internal auditing services. A recommendation that the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a First Amendment to the professional service agreement with Vasquez and Company LLP 905-20CM in the amount of $75,000 and not to exceed the contract amount of $100,000 and extend the term for 3 more years until December 31, 2024 on an on-call internal auditing basis. And again, this was, as required by measurement, a pre-recorded presentation. Councilman Basua, any concerns or items on this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ms. Klima, thank you for that report. I do have a question on the report. You stated that staff recommended at some point that a performance evaluation of each department happen every 6 years, but we had not identified a source of funding. Has that happened at all? Have we identified the source of funding in order to accomplish this?
Thank you, Councilmember, for the question. We haven't yet. At this point, it's still the on-call contract that is up to $25,000. If the council wants the more robust internal auditing program, then we can certainly put that forth. At this point, we've just gone with the on-call services, which is up to $25,000 a year. We have not done the more robust. I will also add that we have Roger Martinez from Vasquez here, if you have any questions for the auditor himself.
Well,
okay. I would really like to see that we find the funding in order to do and accomplish staff's recommendation. I know that with the budget constraints that we had, this is the best we were able to do back in 2020, but I would really like to see this move forward. So those are my comments, Mayor.
yeah.
I know we're asking for the First Amendment of this, but I would like to see the possibility again of adding the additional services.
Excellent points. Any comments from staff?
Well, if we are going to go that direction, if the council wants to go that direction, then we should put out the RFP for those full services. So we should maybe look at another year's worth on this contract or half a year or whatever, just to be able to have that leeway to do that.
Well, that could be potentially a recommendation to the full city council when we get there. And
Yes.
Madam Councilwoman, any additional comments?
Yes, I would like this to go to the full council with a recommendation that we extend this for another year and go back to an RFP in order to add the robust, the whole package as a whole, and see about where this funding is going to come from, and bring it back to us,
To the council, okay.
to the council as a
Contract.
whole.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So I
okay.
guess, so I would like to, and Ms. Klima, maybe if you can go ahead and guide me a bit here. I would like to make that recommendation instead of going, instead of doing the First Amendment for the 3 years. Is that correct? I would like to just do the First Amendment for 1 year and ask staff that they go back and do an RFP.
That is, instead of the 3 years to 1 year, And
Correct.
then look at the staff. You got the.
Mr. Mayor, if I could jump in here, because
Okay.
those are different objectives and it would be different bodies of work. So the contract we have before us is a specific scope, and what we had recommended prior in terms of what a full-on program would be is a completely different set of services. And it would be on top of this anyway. It wouldn't displace this particular contract.
So we continue with
Would
this
it-
contract, and then we can add. Okay.
Correct. So
Councilwoman?
what I would recommend is we keep with this contract, but we schedule for the spring to come back to this committee to talk about the full scope of what we'd like to do.
So,
And it
Mr.
wouldn't happen all at once anyway. There's only in that more robust program, you can only do a couple departments a year anyway. So we need to have more time
Gotcha.
to discuss that.
So, my question is then, are we looking if Vasquez and Company does not get awarded the RFP for the robust, we're looking at having two different companies do this for us? Is that what the recommendation is going to be?
Yes, except that they wouldn't be
Okay.
doing the same thing at all. It's
Right,
totally
right,
different
right.
scopes of work.
Right,
Correct.
total different scopes of work. So, okay.
Good.
We
Good
can do
points.
that. Good
Then
point.
staff then got the recommendation. Those are good questions. The question I had, we expended $10,000. Was that for any particular issue or just how is that $10,000 expended?
Yeah, Mayor, I can answer that. We did initiate one report, and they've provided the report to us. It's going to be coming to you and to the full council
Okay.
soon.
Okay. So we're working on that. Good. Okay. So I think
Yes.
the councilman has some really good questions. I have no additional questions, other than that we do need some auditing, and which is really important. And initially there was no funding for that, but now we have some funding and potentially additional funding as we implement this, and then we continue in the future. Okay, so we can make a motion, then we'll go into the 3-minute rules if anybody has any questions. I'll move approval on this item.
Okay, I will second.
Second, okay, we'll go into the 3-minute rule and see if we have any comments on this item, and we can vote on it. And again, Klima, thank you for the good work on this item too. I know that the public doesn't really fully understand how much work goes into this items, and I've had the opportunity to see some of the details that, not the details on how to work them out, but just to get all this agenda items together, bring them before the public and the city council, which I'd like to commend staff for that,
And also, Mayor, I think it's really important for the general public to understand all the work that this city administration team is doing in order to move Oxnard in a different direction than where they were years ago. And with the internal control integrated framework that came to us, and now this first amendment just, speaks volumes of the work that they are trying to do in order to make Oxnard a great city. So I want to make sure that staff understands that I personally, and I'm sure the rest of the council members, really appreciate all the hard work that is going into this, because it is a lot of hard work. And I hope that our residents can really see that we are a different city, and that we are moving into a total different direction, and we are going to be held accountable for these things and anything that goes wrong. So I really, really appreciate all the work.
And, you said, I'm going to add a little bit to that. Every time I have the opportunity to speak to the public, I always share the 5 priorities that we put together here for the next couple of years, and how we're working on those priorities, and to have patience to work with us, because it's a slow process, but we're getting there, from point A to point B, which is really, really important. again, thank staff for the work that they're doing. And I got to commend staff. I know that people are going to say, well, yeah, you're the city council and so forth, but we can see the progress. You can see that physically and also with our administration and our workers and potentially most of our employees are working at a higher level than before because they have more opportunities to do their work that they were hired to do, which is really important. Okay, since we don't have any more music, we have about 7 seconds or so to go. Okay, Madam Clerk, any speakers?
No, Mayor, no public speakers.
No speakers in that case. So it was motion by Zaragoza and second by Basua. Roll call.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you, and that was approved. Our next item is this is the Billing and Licensing Department. Subject is ratification of the First Amendment to the agreement with Payments Incorporated for credit card services. And the recommendations of Finance and Governance Committee recommend to the City Council to ratify the First Amendment of the agreement 9046-20 CT between Payments Incorporated and the City of Oxnard to add the function of credit card merchant processor in the scope of services to be performed by Payments Incorporated. And again, this is required by Measure M as a pre-recorded presentation. And Councilman Basud, any questions, concerns?
No, thank you. I want to again thank Eden and her team. I know they were kind of thrown a curveball with this and they needed to act quickly, and they did what they needed to do in order to get services going. And no, so with that, Mayor, when you're ready, I will move the recommended action.
Okay, and also I want to thank staff again, and Eden has done a really, really great job on that. Eden, thank you for all your work and for all that you do. And I think I'm going to second that item, and then we'll go subject to the 3-minute rule. Okay. And
And
again,
as we're in the 3-minute rule, I see that our city manager has a really nice backdrop. I think we should all have access to that backdrop.
Okay, so where are you there, Mr. City Manager? The backdrop.
You'll have to do an audit to find how to get this backdrop.
I
We'll
well,
send it to you.
we did just extend it, right? Well, we're about to extend it, so yeah, we can put them on that. Give them, yeah. We will be expecting that backdrop. Thank you.
We'll send it to you.
You know, Mr. City Manager, I'm not sure if I'm commending employees. There was a resident that had some concerns with their water bill, and there was a couple of back and forth. But I want to commend Eden for taking care of that problem. That young lady was really, really happy for all the work, Eden, that you did to accommodate her. You know, so that kind of work and public relations is extremely important. And by the way, you know, she was very, very happy, Eden. So thank you for that work.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Persistence, good public relations, and that bill with that she had was it was there's two sides to take her bills but it worked. It worked. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any speaker on this item?
No speakers.
Okay, this is a first by Councilman Basua and second by Mayor Zaragoza. Roll call.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Chair Zaragoza.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. Our last item on this is the Finance Department, and this is Second Amendment to the Agreement A8012 with NHA Advisors for Financial Advisory Services, Disclosure Compliance, and CDIAC Reporting Services. Recommendation is the Finance and Governance Committee recommend to the City Council approval to authorize the mayor to execute a second amendment to the professional services number A-8012 with NHA Advisors for a 5-year extension in the amount of $100,000 per year, or $500,000 total for the amendment, or including also the prior amount of $800,000 for the total contract. And this item was viewed and required as per Measure M, a pre-recorded presentation. Councilman Basua, any questions, concerns on this item?
No, Mayor, I have no questions or concerns.
Well, and I think, this is, we need to continue having this financial advice, which I think is extremely important. We've had some financial advice of $200-some thousand, as if I remember reading the report. But I think it's important that we have that financial advice, for all our departments and especially our finance department. So with that in mind, I'd like to second the motion, subject to the 3-minute rule.
And if it's okay, Chair, I'd
Betsy.
just like to mention too, it was in the staff report, but maybe not highlighted in the Measure M presentation, that some of the improvements and cleanup that NHA has brought to us in helping us refinance some of our bonds to save money has been very beneficial. I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Hill, who's here in the meeting now as well. And I'm certain that as we move forward in these next few years, we'll be able to benefit
And
the community and us.
yeah. Great. Very, very important. Thank you for sharing the. Any additional comments from, I know our city manager is really happy out there because he's muted, but we can't hear him.
Were you asking for the DJ?
So, but any other comments from staff? This is a really important item that, again, that really deserves more attention, that NHA's advisors are giving the city of Oxnard. Our financial issues are extremely important, but I believe that the presentation was excellent, and $100,000 per year. I think it's a very, very good contract that our staff put together, which is going to help us if I'm sure we'll need that too, especially with our Measure E and also Measure O and some of the other items that we have, and also some of the financing that we have for our utilities and so forth. Like potentially, I'm sure that it'll help us out. So no music from our city manager out there at the beach, huh? Well, I better not say anything, but I'm going to say it. Our city manager had a eye surgery, and he is looking great. That's he's a brave man. He was with us the last time he had surgery that day, and 2 hours later he was running a city council meeting. So thank you again, Mr. City Manager, and I hope you're doing okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I'm doing fine. I can see all of you, both of you.
Well, is that good or not, staff?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, any speakers on this item, Madam Clerk?
No public speakers, Chair Zaragoza.
Okay, so we had a first by myself and second by Council Basua.
Yes, I will second that, Mayor.
Okay, roll call.
Chair Zaragoza,
Yes.
Member Basua.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 2-0.
Councilman Basua, item E, do you have any items for future agendas?
No, nothing for future agendas. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'd like to share with staff, on the Missouri. I want to direct staff to schedule a Brown Act 101 training refresher item this coming year, potentially maybe sometime in January of 2022, for the entire city council to really focus on and all of us on training of the Brown Act. And I want to share with you that I've had this training Brown Act 101 over and over for many, many times, but every time that I listen to the Brown Act and some of the rules and regs that we have, you always learn something, or you kind of reiterate, hey, wait a minute, wow, that's right, maybe. But so, Mr. City Manager, I really would like to have, us put, or staff to put here, Brown Act 101 training refresher in the beginning of the year of Jan 2022.
That sounds great. And I think that would be good for staff too, not just for the council. So we'd look forward to doing that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And with that, we are adjourned, and we'll be back at 6:45 with the Public Works Agency and Housing Development. So we are adjourned on this item. Thank you. Thank you, staff. And happy Thanksgiving to the folks if I don't see you. Thank you, staff. Mhm.